Good morning. Welcome to the 2021 Creating Energy Northern Resources Conference, hosted by our presenting sponsor, Tourmaline. We're honored to be coming from the lands of the Denishaw people where we live and work and play. My name is Cheryl Montgomery, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled and excited to be able to bring Creating Energy back after our launch in 2019 and then subsequent hiatus in 2020. In 2019, we created a great event filled with social networking between industry, Treaty 8, and community. This year, we are thrilled with the amazing speakers, sponsors, and attendees who are joining us virtually to continue building this Northern Conference. Next year, hopefully, we can bring it all together and provide that incredible networking opportunity along with knowledge and incredible speakers we have this year. Oil and gas is the fuel that drives our economy, and we're committed to supporting the industry that supports us. To kick off our 2 days of amazing speakers, let's start and welcome Chuck Fowler, the president of the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce.
Morning, everybody. Before we kick off the conference, I'd like to take a brief moment and just recognize the atrocities of the 215 children found at the former Kamloops Residential School grounds. So let's take a 10-second pause and just reflect on that before we kick off the opening of this conference. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Creating Energy Northern Resource Conference 2021, presented by the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce. Our title sponsor is Tourmaline, and I'd also like to recognize that we are on the traditional lands of the Denishaw. When we started Creating Energy in 2019, the intention was to highlight the exciting opportunities and opportunities of the region, province, and country that LNG could have for us. It was the bringing together of the community and key stakeholders to see these opportunities and from upstream and downstream. The event did not disappoint with speakers such as Chief Louie. We had a drumming demonstration from Gary Oker, and we also had Indigenous food, and also there was a fun-filled day of golf at Lone Wolf Golf Club. This year's event has an absolutely impressive line of speakers with an absolute depth of knowledge, such as Brian Cox, Susanna Pierce, and Chief Charlene. We will be talking about LNG as a pan-Canadian product, key stakeholder updates. We'll be talking about prosperity, inclusion, innovation, and technology. It's somewhat of a cliche to say, but a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think it's really applicable in this matter that LNG in Canada has the economic prosperity for communities, regions, province, and ultimately Canada. We have an opportunity to show the world that Canada is not only a global player in LNG, but we will do it better. We will do it better as our economic responsibilities, our social responsibilities, and the tip of the spear when it comes to innovation. I know that Lori is going to be speaking after me, so I'm going to rob something that she said to me that was really resonating, that having prosperity in our community means that our children and our grandchildren are able to stay here and possibly have meaning employment, build a business, seek careers. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is our ability to have prosperity in our communities and our regions. And LNG is a vehicle for that. I truly believe that. So events like these would not be possible without our gracious sponsors. And also we have talented speakers coming up. They took time to come and speak with us. So it's a heartfelt thankful to our sponsors and our speakers, and also our attendees. These events are not possible without our attendees. So again, a heartfelt thank you for everybody who came out and attended this event, sponsored this event, or speaking at this event. I hope you guys find value in these next couple of days. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chuck. And our next speaker will be Mayor Lori Ackerman.
Good morning, everyone. I want to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered today on the traditional territory of the Denishaw, who have been stewards of this land since time immemorial. Together, we share a life in a northern community that values the adventurous spirit and a commitment to family, community, the environment, and resource development. We have an economic opportunity that we need to take advantage of while not diminishing our grandchildren's opportunity to do the same. I also want to express our gratitude to the thousands of healthcare workers and volunteers who have worked tirelessly to ensure that the vaccinations are available so we can once again get together and celebrate with our family and friends in a more significant way. Kickstarting our economy will take firing on all cylinders. And I had the privilege of working on a task force driven by the energy of Resource Works. And I just want to share the recommendations were given to the federal government, and they drew on extensive research and input from a 36-member coalition of industry, business, labor, Indigenous groups from mining and construction, forestry, labor, etc., representing really more than 3 million workers and 250,000 businesses. The report, that's called Securing Canada's Economic Future, includes a series of extensive, wide-ranging recommendations that really could help us to achieve goals for Canada. And they fall into 3 categories. And the first one is mobilizing our resource prosperity by leveraging Canada's world-class industries and advancing regulatory efficiency and attracting capital investment. The next one was building meaningful employment by ensuring job creation, building employment resiliency, and advancing Indigenous employment. The third was accelerating innovation and environmental competitiveness by aligning climate action and natural resource development and driving challenge-oriented innovation. But we come from an uneven past. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission spent 6 years of work, resulting in 94 calls to action. These calls to action and the principles on which they have been based have been created, and they are a must-read for anyone wishing to learn. The chair of that commission, the Honorable Murray Sinclair, said, quote, "We have described for you a mountain. We have shown you the way to the top. Now we call upon you to do the climbing." Children are the most vulnerable amongst us. And the remains that were recently found are a tragedy, a national tragedy that we have been aware of. And I want to remind everyone that this was just one school, and let that sink in. And there will be no reconciliation without truth. So we need to get to work on some intentional actions focused on reconciliation. And I am more than willing to be a part of that. And I want to thank those of you who are willing to join in on that. So thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on and hosting this. I look forward to a great event. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ackerman. Always filled with a lot of wisdom and knowledge and direction. So I hope we can all take advantage of some of the things that we need to follow. Next up, we have our local MLA, Dan Davies.
Thank you, Cheryl, and good morning, everyone. As most of you know, my name is Dan Davies. I've served as the BC Liberal MLA for Peace River North since 2017, and currently serve as the opposition critic for social development and poverty reduction. First of all, thanks, Lori, Chuck, and Cheryl for your remarks previously. Very honored to be able to speak here today on the lands of the Davies. I'd also like to thank the Fort St. John Chamber of Commerce for once again transforming a conference into this virtual format that we've come to recognize so too well over the past number of months. But it is absolutely crucial that that we continue to have these discussions, and I know it won't be long until all of us are gathered again and being able to have these discussions in person like we used to. I'm very proud to come from the energetic city and proud to represent a region that truly does embody the economic diversity of our province. From forestry to tourism, agriculture, mining, oil, natural gas, Fort St. John and the surrounding Peace River region are not only a good insight into what our industries that keep our province moving forward, but are also the ones that are transitioning our province into our economic future. As the MLA for our region and the member of the official opposition, I've spent much of the past year advocating for the supports in our region and across the province for needs that the needs that we need to get through these economic challenges of the pandemic. Also, at the same time, as critic and in the opposition, holding the government to account on the handling of industries, economic sectors, and all these pieces that we're going to be hearing about over the next couple of days that are driving and are expected to drive our province forward. For a region like ours, where our closest major cities and hubs are not necessarily in British Columbia, but in Alberta, our businesses are often closely tied with individuals and organizations from our neighboring province. But we need to ensure that we are still looking and making sure that we are hiring and committing to as much local as we can. Again, as a member of the loyal opposition, and my role as that is to hold the government to account. And one of our primary concerns that we've had over the past number of months is the COVID supports that the government has offered businesses, and unfortunately, the very unrealistic criteria. And I've had the opportunity to work with a number of businesses and within the industry locally. I've spoken to many local businesses, small and medium businesses, that may have partnerships in Alberta or part ownerships in Alberta that don't qualify for many of the supports that were put forward by the government to get them through this pandemic, even though they are paying taxes and hiring local. As elected officials, we have a responsibility for advocating for our major industries as well as individual businesses. Site C is perhaps a notable example. Not only has this project become a major economic driver for our region, it's an example of our need to keep local jobs and opportunities in our region as we continue to be the energetic capital of the province. It's also important as we transition to a more clean energy source. Unfortunately, though, we all were quite shocked to learn that, that this project has ballooned to almost $16 billion. This is unfortunately an example of fiscal mismanagement, and more importantly, a lack of transparency that must continue to be brought forward, and we must continue to do that better. Another one of our major industries that has been thrust into the political spotlight, of course, is our forest sector. It's important to have these discussions on how we can balance a desire for a strong sector, which employs thousands of British Columbians and many local jobs in the Peace Country. But we also need to balance our protection for the environment. Unfortunately, we don't think that government has delivered on many of these promises, and our industry as a result. We've seen many mills close across the province, and I'm very thankful that the Louisiana Pacific OSB mill has reopened here locally. We also need to get a softwood lumber agreement, which has been promised by the government for the last 4.5 years. Finally, I'd be remiss if I did not mention our oil and gas industry. We continue to support and believe in a strong future in LNG. We will continue to press government to make sure they support this industry upstream and downstream and everywhere in between. Our key goal, first and foremost, is ensuring a strong recovery to our region and our businesses. And this can only happen if we offer our businesses and industries the support that they need for a strong recovery. We need to create a province that is attractive to investors, which we have not seen recently. So again, I would like to thank you for inviting me here today. I look forward to the discussions that are going to be happening through the next couple of days. And I think it's really important that we ask some hard questions when we have the opportunity to hear from Minister Kahlon and Minister Ralston this afternoon on many of these important issues. So once again, thank you very much and enjoy the conference.
Thanks very much, Dan. Hopefully there will be a lot of conversation over the next 2 days about a lot of the topics that you've brought up. So thank you for mentioning them. And next we're going to go to our MP, Bob Zimmer.
Thank you, Cheryl, for the opportunity, for the opportunity, and all of those who are attending the conference today. Energy certainly is a big deal to us in this part of the country, but to really every Canadian, all who use it and all who benefit from the resource extraction. And we need to be proud of that. None do it better than in Canada in terms of doing it what's safe for the environment and doing it in a way that provides standards of living in Canada second to none. So kudos to you that work in the industry. Just speaking a bit from what I'm doing in Ottawa, I get asked that, what are we doing actually in Ottawa? A Natural Resource Committee is where I serve as a BC member in the opposition. We just did some studies about the economic recovery in the forest sector. And I can say this year the forest sector is doing better. The prices are high, as most of you know, but we need a long-term solution, as MLA Davies referred to as the softwood lumber agreement. It's been something I've been pushing the federal minister on since I've had this job, and we don't see one yet, but there's a hope that we get one soon, because it's absolutely imperative that we get a softwood lumber agreement to provide stability to the forest sector. Just was on the West Coast. I'll refer to Cat LNG. I know, or LNG Canada. I know you're going to have some guest speakers that from the company, and just wanted to say I get that question probably the most. You know, is this project, how's it doing? And so I went out to see it myself. They've reached some very significant milestones recently, where they've had 3,000, and that's just going to continue ramping up until 2022 to 2024, where they're going to see approximately 5,000 working on the project at any one point. And so that they employ around 1,000 people on an ongoing basis. It's absolutely a massive project. It's something to see with your own two eyes. Just a couple of other key points. They're in the midst of accelerating up into the peak period, 2022 and 2024. The milestone just reached was just these are 6-inch guys that you see underneath your back deck, but ones that are 6 feet and 4 feet across, full of concrete. So absolutely massive. Again, it's something to see with your own two eyes. We can have confidence the project is progressing. I spoke with the construction manager out there. They're doing a great job, and it's coming along very well. So you can have confidence that the gas that we see getting, you know, where we produce it out here, it's going to eventually get market and get those global markets. I like to say that too, you know, Canada has a real play in reducing emissions around the world, and with our own, you know, the benefits to the environment, to sap the emissions of other forms of energy. We just need to get a market, and wanted to end Canada for the work that's going on. Be remiss if I mentioned Tourmaline, seeing that you're a sponsor of this conference. Tourmaline's a great local company. They're not just local, but they have a huge local presence, and getting by the day. Some of you have seen that they just acquired Black Swan, I think for 1.1 billion. Just over the last few days or week. And I've been out there to 2 of their facilities, really an impeccably ran company. The facilities are maintained, I'd say, second to none. Most of you will never see them because they're off the road, but they are literally employing, Tourmaline is employing hundreds and of our, and affecting thousands of our residents in our local, whether it's the hardware store, the grocery store, the coffee shop. It's all got a massive impact to our economy, and why we're doing so well right now in what would be trying times for a lot of people around the country. We're doing fairly well up here. I know there's certain pockets that have been greatly affected by COVID, and it's still a big thing that we're coming out of, but we've sustained a pretty solid unemployment, a low unemployment rate over a long period of time because of those jobs at Tourmaline. So thank you for that. I just wanted to finish with thank you for the opportunity once again, and kudos to Cheryl and Chuck for putting this on. I know it's been a lot of work. Those of us that attend, you know, it's fairly easy for us to just join in, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So again, kudos to you all, and we'll see you in the conference.
Thanks so much, Bob. I hope everybody doesn't mind. I'm using first names, feel very casual. So again, thanks, Bob. And next, we're going to just open our entire session with a greeting and a prayer from Gary Oker. Gary?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gary Oker. I'm a counselor for Doig River First Nation. Just before I start the prayer and a blessing of the conference, I just wanted to acknowledge the 215 youth burial that was discovered. And just want to let everybody know that these are the policies to eliminate Indigenous rights that's been going on for many, many years. And even here in our traditional territory, we've been dealing with these issues for a long time. So we believe that no economic development can occur in our territories until we're included. And I hear the acknowledgement of the Danaza people, our territory, and other Indigenous Treaty 8 territories has to be included in the economic recovery program. So here's an opportunity, and one great big opportunity on our table right now is the settlement of the treaty land entitlement. There's 5 nations right now ready to settle, and we need Bob and Dan to make sure that the bureaucrats don't get in the way, because they've been getting in the way of trying to settle our treaty land entitlement. With that, there will be economic opportunities and business investment in our communities, especially around Fort St. John area. We're talking over $1 billion of settlement, which should be included in the process of economic and business opportunities for Indigenous peoples. So a strong economy is based on resource development and extraction, but also requires settlement and also protection of certain areas to continue practicing our treaty rights to go hunt and fish and be in peace. So I encourage Bob and Dan and anybody else that's listening to really get to understand what's happening with some of the bureaucratic processes of trying to settle this agreement here. We're ready to go. We've been ready to go for a long time. We've been trying to fight this for over 40 years of legal battles. So I think we really got to have a new perspective, and hopefully that this conference can create a new opportunity to include Indigenous people in all resource development extraction, so that some areas can be preserved for future generation to enjoy peace and harmony. So with that, I want to offer a blessing song for everyone for the conference. These are some of our traditional songs that been in our linkages for thousands of years. The Site C, they found hundreds and hundreds of artifacts of our ancestors, and Tse Kwa, it's becoming a national historical site. We need to acknowledge the original people of the land, and I thank you for doing so. So Danaza people, Nachi, Yanet, we call the Dreamer songs. We give you blessings for a great day and a great conference. 中的奴记的卡，一对的等那哈，无中的奴阿卡拉，哦，无中的阿正，无中的阿正。
Thank you so much, Gary. I know I can speak on behalf of the whole country that we're mourning the loss of the 215 children. And this conference is about making a new way, coming together and resolving some of the issues of the past. So I hope that that's one thing that we can work towards and achieve through this conference, and why it's so important for all of us to connect. So thank you so much for your prayer and your opening of our conference. And I want to thank all of our greeters and speakers this morning for participating and helping us kick off 2021 Creating Energy. So thank you so much. Our next session is going to be coming up shortly at 9:30. We're going to have our keynote speaker, Brian Cox from the Canadian LNG Alliance. So just go back to your homepage and click for the next session. We'll see you shortly. Bye.